Okay, I think we can start. Hello everyone. Today we will continue talking about the project management. We will go through again maybe more deeper some strategies used in the project management. That's first, and after that, on the second part of today's session, we will talk about one of the maybe the greatest tools, but very useful tool for the managing the projects, managing not only the projects, managing the development and all. It's called Jira. You already heard about it, and we will touch it as well today. And so maybe let's switch the agenda a little bit. Yeah, so that's about Jira, and then you will have the practical practical experience with Jira, where you will create tasks, and also then create the branches in Git, and then you will link these branches to the corresponding tickets in Jira. So that's the point today, and maybe a small recap from the previous session. As you remember, we talked about some methodologies. Basically, we go through some. Mostly we can say that's history. I mean, the waterfall strategy, lean model strategy. These are also historical strategies in the effective project management. Nowadays, mostly some agile structures are used. Basically, what's the project? What the strategy is? The strategy is basically how the whole project is planned. I mean, how are the stages planned? What is the sequence of the stages? Which stage follows which stage? How can we move from one stage to another, and so on. And as you remember, in historical strategy in waterfall, the problem is that again, as you may understand, in a normal project we may have some unexpected issues in practice. It's almost impossible. I mean, in my experience, I never had, not only during my main job, but also for in my some side projects. I have never faced development which just goes from the beginning till the end as it was planned, as it was initially planned. So in this case, you should understand that we need to go through some maybe some serious changes, or not so serious changes during the project, during the development of the project. We may face some difficulties. That is what usually happens during any work, and of course we should be able to handle it. So basically, if we talk most about the changes, some unexpected situations, some changes on the requirements, because that's also really possible, especially for the clients. Again, the idea is that developer company, again, if it's Accenture or any technical IT company which produces the product for the customers, usually the customers again are the huge companies which pay a lot of money, and so some projects even for some, let's say we can have like serious business, large business. Maybe in Latvia it can be something like in Latvia which operates, it's maybe RIMI or something like this. I mean, from the perspective of the how large the business is, maybe some bankings as well. So we mostly work with IT companies, huge IT companies, again like Accenture or similar companies. We mostly work with large customers, and yeah, I mean, from Latvia perspective, it may be something like bankings or large stores we have. And most projects, of course, cost. Large projects may cost tens of millions of euros, usually. Sometimes even more, maybe hundreds of millions of euros also. Such projects are possible, and I told it to the previous course. There are some of course there may be some failures, so not all the projects come to the successful end. In fact, there may be some failures because of the planning issues, because of the quality issues. I mean, the quality of the resources, quality of the technologies, quality of management, how decisions made by management, how the organization of the decision works, and so on. So, in fact, sometimes if the project is not finished successfully, the customer may lose hundreds of euros, for example. I can give you one example. If you Google for Widow 15 million SAP, they basically a Widow store. Widow lost 500 million euros during the introducing of SAP systems for their business, and so basically they cancelled the introduction to SAP systems, and they spent 500 million euros to introduce SAP. That's service application products. This is the IT system. There are lots of IT systems inside the SAP products. Also ERP, if you know, that's mostly meant for accounting processes, basically to handle. Basically SAP usually can, if we simply describe their solutions, they mostly needed to handle, to automatize, to make some processes in the business to be automatic, to connect different customers, the different services they use, different softwares they use, and SAP actually is meant for such large businesses where they can set up the system and manage all the solutions inside these systems, using these systems. And of course the setup may be quite large, especially for such large businesses like Widow, for example. And of course the IT development may long and may cost lots of money. And again, as I mentioned, as you can see, it not always comes to the successful end. Sometimes there may be some incorrect development. At some point, the customers may notice that it costs too much and it is not going ahead. For example, they spent 500 million euros, but in fact they could spend even more to actually finalize the introduction of their system, and that's why they cancelled their project. So that's at least one of the examples. I know that there are lots of such examples in practice, but this is what I know. Also, there is one project I was working in. Again, as I said, there were like about five different IT companies worked on this project. Company I was working that time was not the largest one in the project. This was maybe the smallest one. There were actually there was the company where there were like hundreds of representatives, and from our company there were like 10 or 20 representatives, and in fact some of them are still working with this company, so we're producing the support. And in fact the project I was working in, it also lost hundreds of millions of euros by introducing SAP IT systems. It's so that's also possible. It's also possible, and again, that's it. From this point of view, we should understand how the project management is important. First of all, to not lose the money, because again, that's it costs a lot, and the risks are quite high there. So from this point, needs to organize the producing of the product in the best possible way to make the successful result. So and if we go back to the strategies, then again, as I said, in waterfall strategy, we just have no way back. So anything just goes from the requirement to the maintenance. But again, of course, in practice, we may have multiple requirement changes on maybe even more on the testing on the testing stage, and in this fact, basically, if we consider waterfall as the simple project management strategy, then we can basically say that the whole development is done during this during these stages. So we have the full list of the requirements, we design them, we implement them, we test them, and then we may have some maintenance. So it means that no additional requirements can be handled on these stages, nothing more. So we just have a full list of them and we finish at the end. Again, nowadays, as I said, most of the projects use Agile strategy, and the idea of Agile strategy is that if we can simply say that we take some parts of the requirements, so we may have even more, and we just use this, and we take part of them, we develop them, not all of them, part of them, we do the development, we deploy them, and then we see if something new is needed. We take this new, again, some new requirements may come, some requirements may also be cancelled before it goes to this development stage, but the idea is that this is continuous process where the new firstly new requirements, they can also be new resources. The human resources may come. So it's also easy. So again, I did not mention about human resources, which was maybe a little bit incorrect, because in waterfall strategy, again, it may be quite hard to replace the people, because again, we all know that it not always happens that just all the people may work on the same project. Some may go from the project, some may come, and of course, when we work in waterfall using waterfall strategy, then it's harder to do such replacements, because again, if this comes on the implementation stage, then of course then the knowledge should be shared from the say original developers to new developers, and this may of course take more time. They should take over the implementation which is not finished, and of course it's harder than just split in small parts and just then start new parts from the beginning. And this is what Agile is about. Of course, that's not an endless process. At some point that it finishes, and usually it finishes once all the items from the backlog. So these are all the tasks to be done. They are finished. So every day, not every day, but we use Scrum strategy for this, and Scrum strategy basically represents the Agile, and in such structure we have daily Scrum, where the members of the project discuss what they done. They can take new tasks to themselves, and then start working on them. And so today, for the practical point, we will work with Jira, and this is needed to represent the stages and the progress of the items which are on backlog. So the items which are in list, that's sprint backlog. Again, we divide, as I mentioned, we divide the stages, but the cycles of the developments in we call them sprints. So they are split in time by time. The first month is, let's say, for example, the first month is sprint 1, second month is sprint 2, and the third month is sprint 3, for example, or they can be split into different time ranges. And during each sprint we may have so-called Kanban board where we can see all the items used from the sprint backlog, and so each item is in its own status. The most simple status structure would be to do. So it means that these are the items which are not taken by anyone, or they are taken but they are not processed yet. Then the next one may be in progress. So these are the items which are in progress. So they're in development stage. So someone is working on them, and then testing means that the development is tested and done or resolved. It means that the item is the task is done. And so using we can represent Kanban board, as you can see here, just on a simple whiteboard. Of course, in real life, we, especially nowadays during COVID times, we don't do it. No one is drawing, and basically everything is placed online. And the most popular tools from my experience, these are Jira, and in Microsoft Teams there's the tool you can use. And so basically, what are the main principles of such Kanban structure? You can eliminate waste, define them, to give the priority for the tasks. You can amplify learning, that's for sure. Decide as late as possible. So in this case, you don't need to do all the decisions right at the beginning. You can just simply grab the task and start working on it. Grab the item or task and start working on it, and then deliver as fast as possible. So in this case, you may find that that usually Scrum masters sometimes push the developers to deliver as fast as possible, to deliver their tasks as fast as it is possible. But of course, it's not always possible to deliver as fast as the Scrum masters wants to do it. But the principle actually works in this case. Then empower the team. And so basically, the tickets, the items of the whole team can be seen there. And so that's the same about build integrity and see the wall. In the Kanban board, you'll see all the items for all the members of the project, what they do. You can actually see what what they do, how they do, how fast do they do. They can help each other if they have some maybe similar items or similar issues. So using Kanban board, it can be determined much more easier way than by just simply communicating using for example, using the emails or the chatting and so on. Using Kanban board, the whole picture may be much more clear than by simply communicating. So this is how the disciplined Agile delivery looks like. First, we need to think about the people, of course, because only the people can deliver the items, no one else. And of course, there should be human resources who do it, and without them, of course, it's not possible. So first, we need to concentrate on the availability of the resources, because for example, when you have Kanban board in Java, Kanban board in general, when you see all the tickets, it is actually not possible to hide that someone doesn't do anything. For example, if there is the developer who let's say is not working or does not have let's say enough tickets, then it will be visible, of course. So everyone will see that this person does not have any tickets, and in this case other members will pass more tickets to the one who does not have enough tickets. So this can be possible. Also, learning orientated, as I said, in such cases where we have the full picture of the development ongoing, it's easier to share the knowledge. So if there are some similar items, then knowledge can be shared in between the developers there. Of course, it should be hybrid from many perspectives. Then we should have full delivery life cycle, and that's so through process goal driven. Again, the idea is to finish all the items, so we already have the goal. So during each sprint, then we focus on the solution. So it means that we don't have just any other focuses, but just to can be set to do all the items we have. Risk value life cycle. So basically, since we have this cyclical development in Agile strategy, that it means that we have the sprints, and so in this case we may think that the risk is not going outside the sprint, so it stays. So basically let's say, of course we may have some risks inside one sprint, but since we split the development into several sprints, then of course we can first finish one cycle and then go to another. In this case, we can handle the risks in a better way. So that's so we can compare traditional project management and Agile project management, and basically what are the differences in between them. In traditional project management approach, project management it concentrates on through upfront planning of the entire project. So this is basically what I said, comparing waterfall strategy and agile strategy. The idea is that in a traditional strategy, the management is concentrated on the whole project, without the parts of the project, and of course, it requires high degree of predictability to be effective, because we do not split the development, we do not split the risks, we do not make appropriate testing during each part, each stage, and of course, in agile structure, it's handled better. So the agile itself relies on incremental development cycles. This is what I already mentioned. This idea for exploratory projects, in which requirements need to be discovered and new technology tested. And from my point of view, that's also quite effective for small projects, especially if this is like maybe not a startup, but let's say something new for you and maybe your colleagues. You are building some new solutions with new technologies you haven't worked before, and in such cases, agile project management may be really helpful, because again, since you have the technology, you maybe don't really know, then you want to explore it better. So you need you don't actually know how your solution will look like. And so let's say if you work every day for, let's say, 8 hours, then how will you also not stop 8 hours a day? Then in such you can actually imagine, then if you work with new technology, that I hope you understand that you will not know how your solution will look like in 20 days or 2 months, something like that. So you don't really know how your, let's say, if you're developing the website or the application or any kind of software, then if you work with new technology, then you don't know how this will look in long term or even mid-term. And for such reason, you need to. It's better to use agile project management to actually works by cycle. So the idea is that, let's say that if you are developing the website, then you may split it into different backlogs in different sprints. And let's say that during the first part you develop the initial version of the website, you test that all the maybe the most simple functionality works fine, no issues, no bugs, everything works fine. Then you go to the next stage and you introduce new features. You may have after the first stage you may discover some things to be changed, and you can then introduce them into new development. So that's a better approach comparing to the approach when you just actually when you're actually building the website. Let's say again, software can be you find some new features to introduce, then you actually see that you have some dependencies, you need to touch them as well, and in this case it simply goes just by this way that you non-stop do the changes, and of course at some point when you see that the new if you introduce new changes, then some previous or some other related stuff needs to be changed as well, then you may go to the cycle of changes which maybe never end, and this may be not so good. Yeah, that's why it's better to split it correctly, to just deliver the changes by small pieces, and then at the end you will successfully finish your development. Yeah, so here you can see some points. Yeah, so traditional sign up front. Yeah, Agile is more flexible. It has more. We have more features and requirements. And freeze the sign as wide as possible for Agile. So it means that the changes and the requirements may come. Then it's for traditional, it's low uncertainty. That's maybe the advantage, because you have all the planned strategy and you just need to go through the stages planned. In Agile there's high uncertainty, but it makes it more flexible, of course. That's what I said. Traditional, that's why we have more changes, because it's not flexible. It does not allow high customer interaction, because again, no changes, or maybe only small changes possible, or even no changes possible in such cases. And in Agile it's mostly self-organized project teams, so the work in teams, and in traditional it's like more conventional project teams. So regarding how it goes in Accenture, and not only in Accenture, but I would say in such large IT companies like Accenture, the main idea is to provide a strong foundation on which the IT company can deliver reliable end-to-end solutions, ensure that projects are delivered on time and always cost the clients. So that's maybe quite interesting point, but that's mostly related to the business discussions. It's not mostly about the job for IT people. Yeah, of course we use the risks. Everyone wants to use the risks with solution delivery, because that's again what's possible. There's the possibility that the solution you deliver, of course, it may crash something. It may, if it works with the sensitive data, it can be accounting or something like that. Then of course it should be quite clear. It should be very clear, and it may be restricted to some members of the team. For example, I had one experience in my project that I was doing some development in the accounting system, and of course we all had limited access there, and basically how the development in IT systems looks like. It won't be handled in the project management team, topic, but usually there are, let's say, three main stages of IT systems. Usually there are three main parts of IT systems, three main stages where the development and the actual process is ongoing. So the first system is, we call it development system. So this is the place where we develop new solutions. So that's development system. It usually the actual testers and testers from the customers, they do not go to this development system. Mostly only the developers work there. Then once development is done, the changes go to the maybe called differently. We can call it migration system or quality system or maybe pre-production system. It may be called differently, but the idea for such middle system is that this is the place where the testing with the pretty much real data can be done. Yeah, so it can also be done by customers themselves, by their representatives, and yeah. So this is the place where the testing is done. Once it is done, so everyone confirmed that solution works fine. Then we go to then the changes go to the production system. And from my experience, there was such example where I did the development system. Then I moved the changes to migration. Everything was fine there. And actually, that was not the day. It was like the week before I supposed to move the changes to production. Changes I done. I found that I don't have the accesses I need in the production system, because, as I said, that was accounting in the system for accounting. So basically, all the main customer data was there. So all the secret details, we may say. Secret details were there, and I found that I don't have the access I needed to have actually to deliver the changes to the production system, and it was quite crazy. During the whole week, I was communicating different people, trying to find the one who can actually approve the access to me. So I can get this access, and the result. So that was Friday. Actually, the day I had to move my changes to production. There was the meeting where actually there were like 10 people who were supposed to give me the actually that was to give me the access to just press one button in production system. Yeah, so that was quite crazy. Yeah, 10 people to give me the access to just press one button. It was quite crazy, but yeah. So that's about the risks. How the customers want these risks to be reduced, and yeah, we may face some situations from them. Yeah. So, and of course, basically all the main principles about the delivery tools. There are different. Basically, there are some different building tools. Again, it depends on the technology the corresponding project is based on. So there are basically different technologies, different systems, and of course, it all depends on the budget provided by customer, depends on the requirements, depends actually what they want and what they already have. Yeah, because sometimes there is such possibility that that the requirement may be that they want actually to migrate from Excel files. Yeah, so some of the companies use Excel files to do the, for example, to do the accounting. So it may be a little bit hard to do, but at once they may decide to go and use some IT technologies. And in such cases, the task would be just to move, not just, but actually to move, to migrate from Excel files to the actual IT system. So here we can find delivery technology stack. So there's nothing really much to add from me. And again, now let's go to the stages, activities, and work systems. So as I said, for the development, we may have 3 systems. If we move this view to the project management itself, because again, the projects are not only related to the development of IT systems. Yeah, there can be it's maybe even twice as larger as just a simple IT development, because there are the analyzing stage, design stage, testing stage. There can also be documentation stage, where all the things need to be documented, approved, and so the system, the project management in general can be really large. But again, the stages may be that mostly we start with planning. We may have some transition points from which point to which point we go, and usually the ending point is deployment. We deploy the changes. Also it's possible to do the quality assurance. We can talk about quality assurance in Lean model. So basically we need to assure that the quality is fine and everything works as expected, that the solution itself has all the standards needed to have, so according to the design, according to the plan, according to best practices. And at the end of each stage, quality of deliverables are checked. So that's again, that's maybe different in different projects, but so each stage, sometimes even each unit of the stage. I mean, if we do the tasks, then there's such possibility that the task is done, so the code is written, and it should go through the quality assurance. Then the responsible person then can accept or decline the change in the solution. Maybe this tester, this quality assurer may ask to do some changes, to adjust some changes, and that's all. So it should be done. So it's done during the verification process. So basically the deliveries are they are checked. So if they do pass all the rules defined, they can be defined in general. They can be defined for some specific projects. So in this case, they should be tested. And so the general question in such cases should be: are you building it right? So if so maybe not if there are no issues, but actually if it's done correctly, because again, the solution may work but in fact it's maybe it may not correspond to the quality standards, to the best practices. Like if there's some tools used, again, if there's maybe, for example, SAP systems, then for SAP, if you write the code in such systems, then there are some best practices. There are some things you should do and what you should not do. Like if you have, as I mentioned to you, if you do the multiple selects at once in code, and you may select the same things like several times during your code. Like you have one table and you call, let's say, 10 methods, and in each of the method you select, you do the same select on the same table. Of course, that's not how it should be done. Normally the entries should be bufferized, so it means that you should read them once and then store them locally. So this should be done this way, and yeah, only after we can confirm that everything is built correctly, then we can move the changes further. Yeah, so there are the dependencies on the model stage. As you can see that we have the requirements, we go to design. So again, we verify the requirements. If everything is fine, then we verify the design. And so if the detailed design is built correct, again we verify it. Basically in all the stages we do the verification. And on some stages we do the testing. So if some testings are failed, then we should go to the dependent stage. So for example, if the user acceptance test is failed, then we should go to the requirement stage, and then to verify the requirements again, to redefine them, and only after that we can go next. So there's some delivering methods for Accenture. For Agile development, it looks pretty much the same as in general. You can export it in the presentation. And also one of the last points under the project management topics, it is quality, because mostly when we deliver the solution, we should think about the quality. What is there? If, again, as I said, if the code is acceptable, if it passes all the quality standards and all these things, it should come from the requirements, of course. We should be validated with the requirements, because sometimes also it may be quite possible that the requirements do not correspond to the quality standards should be applied to the code. Because sometimes there are technologies you may work with where you cannot actually, let's say, do everything. Sometimes some things can be outside of the best practices, and in some cases it's better to say no than to just deliver the changes which do not correspond to the best practices. Sometimes also the requirements may not fully. That's because the requirements may not fully represent the user expectations. because again they may ask lots of things, but at the end they find that all these things, if they have so much things, then maybe the system may also be overloaded. With so many things, sometimes it's maybe not also, it may be not possible to excuse me, to actually complete the changes, to implement so many changes and so many things asked by users, and in such cases the requirements, the expectations must be optimized. But in general it means that in the absence of system crashes, it depends when you have it, because when you develop the system you may not face any system crashes, but maybe in the mid or long term you will find that there may be some overloading onto systems, maybe lots of data come, like if you're working with the customers, let's say that you store all the transactions from the customer, and of course time by time the number of such entries just become higher and higher, and of course at the end you will face the situation that you may face these crashes which are not discovered during the development process. Of course, then the correspondence between the software and user expectations. Of course, as I said, the expectations may be reduced in some cases because again, in some cases they may not be fulfilled. In general, what is agreed with the users, what do you expect, this is what we should deliver to them. Performance, of course, this is very important, and this may be quite maybe the most important thing, because no one wants to work with the systems with the very slow performance. So that's why it is really important, and of course it should be controlled because it lowers production speed and increases maintenance costs and can adversely affect business. So it's not what we want. We want to deliver the best possible product. And so as you remember about top-down and bottom-up designs. So top-down is from abstract to concrete. As you remember when we talked about inheritance, when we have this top-down design, so we go from abstract to concrete. So from the highest level specifications describing the project as a whole, or the application logic downwards to individual operations. So in this case, it means that this is the design where at the first there are some minor specifications come, and maybe some basics what should be implemented, and after that we go to more detailed specifications. It's also possible, as I said, when you have to deliver, let's say, the website, and first you may start with some layouts as the base, and with some base functionality, and then you can go to some deeper features then. And the bottom up is basically the opposite design, when you go from some concrete features to the wall design. And so this is how it may look like. And for top-down design we have the vision, then we go to design, and then we develop. And for bottom-up design we reuse something, we modularize something, and we actually solve it. And yeah, so one of the last things here is talking about the roles. What are the roles used involved in the project management? As I said, not only the developers are needed. Basically, we can split these roles into the operates and develops. So when we talk about the develops, we can see that these are the coders, testers, developers, quality assurers, and so on. And the group who operates, so these can be technical support, network administrator, chief executive officer, and so on. And yeah, there are some roles which involve both things to be done. Let's put out the essential roles. In the software engineering, these are the developers. So basically what developers do, as I said, they mostly write the code, they set up the systems, they may create databases, they may set up the databases, they can also fill some entries needed to the databases, and so on. Yeah, basically all this technical stuff we code. Then the test quality assurer, tester and quality assurer. So these are the persons who, so testers usually do the testing, find, they're searching for the issues. Quality assurer, as I said, these are those who check if the quality of the development done is correct. They can look to the code, they can look into the setup, all these things, and confirm that everything is fine, or if something is wrong, then they can ask developers to change these things. And yeah, motion configuration manager, this is basically the manager who is responsible to actually the whole configuration. These are the technical roles. Of course, there are some roles who are needed to do the discussions with business, with the customers, to discuss the requirements, discuss the possible solutions, what do they expect there. And yeah, also the team leader, so this is the coordinator, not manager, basically. This is the team leader who actually makes the whole team to work. Maybe if something needs to be adjusted or communicated, then the team leader is very helpful in such cases. Yeah, all before mentioned applies to paid workers. If you work with some free open source volunteers, source project volunteers, there may be a problem with concurrency and workload still holds. You may have just carried the mistake part of management. These are so for the in IT world, we rarely work with non-paid workers, and this is actually the part of the business. When we have the projects, it's almost firstly, the talk about the money. From my experience, it's really important always. And for example, if the customer, since for the workers, we as the workers who do the work, then we are paid. Basically, the customer pays to the IT company for the workers to do the work here. And again, as I said, there's the budget, there's the plan, there are the invoices, and if something is not confirmed, or if something is not paid, or basically the budget is not accepted, then the workers should not work on the project. So like you have, let's say you worked on the project like 2 years, but if let's say if tomorrow the customer does not pay for you, then you should not work. This is how, again, there may be some exceptions, but this is how it's usually done. Everything needs to be paid on time, confirmed, and so how it normally works without the improvement, without the paywall, you are not able to work, especially even if you want to work you want to complete your work. You better not do it in such cases, just because of the business. Of course, that's it's never a good idea to work for someone for free, especially in IT work, because that's just the business. If you worked once, not you, but I mean, if someone worked once for free, then of course it's significantly affects the way how the customers look at the IT company. It means that if we just don't pay and they work for us, then that's fine. We can repeat such cases in future as well. So that's maybe quite important. That's why mostly work with paid workers, of course. And of course that's also about the responsibility. So like volunteers, they usually have less responsibility. In open source projects, you will spend much more effort on recruiting, communication, collaboration management. That's true, but that's also depends on how many people work on the open source project. Actually, from my experience, I still have been working on the open. It's not like just open source projects. That's as I think I mentioned once. It's just my private business with one of my colleague who is not IT person, and I think we are managing this project quite well. I mean, I'm the only one who works in IT side. He works on the requirements, on the discussions with potential and actual customers, and in this case I'm just the only one who do the technical development. I'm all in. I'm trying to plan the development, to do the setup and all these things. So yeah, in such cases I don't have really the problems with the communication, because I'm actually the only one. But yeah, if you have like open source projects where there are multiple developers, then of course sometimes there may be such cases. And yeah, the last one is the lifetime metrics. You may see this picture, and especially about the feelings. So yeah, that's the last slide actually here, and that's about the actual feelings, how time by time it in practice this works. So first you have all the expectations that everything will be done well. So you have the peak of all the expectations. You're ready to do lots of things. Then you find that not everything goes as expected. Then so that's like disappointment for you. But then at the end you just realize, not you, but I mean your team or just your group realize that okay, that's maybe not as bad as it could be, and you should finish your product, and then you have this short upside, and then you just finish product, let's say somewhere on the middle. And yeah, this is what you can see. From this picture, you started with the idea that this is the best idea ever. Then you find that maybe not everything is as easy as you expected. Then you realize that you need to work more and more. Then it becomes boring for you. So on the bottom you understand that that's maybe not the right place you are in, not the right thing to do. So disappointed, you don't see the end for this, let's say, this horror. But then you realize that okay, it's maybe better to finish it because I'll learn something for next time, and at the end it's done. But yeah, it's not bad as you thought here, and actually if you finish somewhere in the middle of your feelings. Sure, maybe this way. Okay, this is it for the presentation about the project management. If you have any questions, you can ask. And right now, I can type them. And right now, let's maybe have the 10 minutes break. And after the break, we will go to Jira. Okay, so as I promised, let's open Jira. So basically, as you remember, we have this Kanban board, right? And so the idea is that we should have the place where to put these tasks, these tickets. And one of the options, you may usually use in your projects is called Jira. Actually, we will export Jira. We'll use free version. The idea is that Jira is a part of the same structure together with Bitbucket and source tree. So they are related to each other, and you can, if you use Jira and you use Bitbucket, then you can easily navigate from one tool to another. So again, I will provide the link to you, so you should all register here. So then you'll need it for your project work. You will have in this course also for the practical task. You will need to have it. But actually, you can log in with the. I guess you can log in with your Bitbucket account. So it should normally be here. So you have a free version. You don't need to buy any it's a premium, but any full version. So for us, this will be enough to use the free version. So once you are here, what you will see, you can actually see some products. Mostly, you can. This is basically here we'll actually have all the products from Atlassian. Also, Bitbucket is here. Jira software. But we will move to Jira. So I already logged in with my account. You can do this well. So I have this. So you can create a Jira environment. So I already have it. I called it Java version. So for the testing for today, we will use this one. And so you don't need to create your own one. You need to register, and I will assign you to the project. So let's say that. So first of all, once we're here, we can create the project. And usually, during your projects, you will. This should be done by usually that's project manager or the Scrum master. So usually it is created once during the project, and then you can just simply use it during the project. So once you create, you can actually find the right template for you. You can see, I haven't used backtracking. Mostly we have two options. We can use Scrum or Kanban board. So maybe let's just use. You can try both options. We can start with. They are quite similar, but maybe let's start with Scrum, and then we will move to Kanban template. So when you select it, you can get the type. Let's maybe there are some differences. We'll select team managed project, and we will enter name. So let's say Java So Java-13 and this is Scrum. So we have Scrum, and maybe we can keep using this Scrum template. Kanban template may look a little bit easy, but yeah, here you can actually see the representation of the Scrum methodology. You will also have the board. So yeah, maybe let's keep using this board. So here we can actually see the backlog, and as you remember, first of all, we should we will have the list of the items, and then we can go to the sprints, and then during the sprints we can actually grab these items. Yeah, so this is the Scrum strategy. So again, we can create we can actually do some settings for the project. So yeah, here you can define the list of tasks. Maybe let's do some settings. So on the settings, you can do the main setup, or change the icon. You can change how the board looks like. Again, as I said, in this case, we just have 3 stages: to do, in progress, and done. Of course, we can create more. We can add it. We can add more stages. Let's say that we can have the testing stage. So that's the testing stage, and yeah, so here we should be the so we should also add the status. Should add the status here, so let's try to add it. Okay, this is done. Then we can here we can change the workflow. So yeah, okay, we need to change the workflow. Okay, so here we have board, we have issue types, and we can go through them. So here I have the epic. It can be epic issue, it can be bug, it can be task, subtask of another task, and you can actually edit workflow, and here you can actually say maybe add status, and that would be, let's say, testing status. Okay, so here you can actually create another, so under the workflow you can edit and add a new status. Yes, so now the status is done, and yeah, now it is fine. And we have the testing, so yeah, that comes from the workflow. Yeah, and here now we have one more stage, and this is maybe not the most usual setup, but quite common setup when you have the list of tasks to do, the list of tasks in progress, the testing stage, and which are done or maybe also cancelled. Yeah, so then we, again, as I said, we can go to the issue types. So for issue types, these are the items. Yeah, the items you can place to the log, and here you can actually define what is the type of them and what are the fields available. Maybe some fields you can add them. Let's say you can try to add the state here. So let's say due date. Oh no, actual due date. Oh, okay, due date already exists, so that's fine. Oh yeah, it's here. Due date. What else can we add? Can actually. Okay, there's assignee. Okay, there's the reporter as well. So we can add it. I can keep. Oh, the priorities here. Okay, so the priority is quite popular. So maybe we can skip using some epic and bug. We will mostly use the task and subtask. Okay, so under the task, we can move this reporter here. And also as I said, let's move the priority. You may use time tracking to track the time to actually see how many time you spent on the task. So what else? Oh, due date is not here, so let's maybe add also due date. It's quite important. And maybe we'll not use other issue types at this point. But yeah, if needed, we can actually define them and we don't need to change and define them and configure the issue types here. So then, if we go to the notifications, that's not here. So important. Then we can go to access, and here we can add the roles for the participants on the project. We can add more people. I will add you to this project after the session, and so then you can really change by yourself. Maybe as I said, let's maybe keep on with task and subtask, so to not overcomplicate it. By default we will have these bugs and epic, but so to make it easier, at first we will just simply use task and subtask. So basically this is the category of the log item. Yeah, but maybe the most relevant are task and subtask. Maybe here let's also add due dates. You will mostly see the priority and the due dates for the tasks. Maybe add the reporter as well, whom this task to be reported, and so on. So right now I think we can try to start working on this. So in here we can define the list to do. So first of all, we can define the lists of tasks. So let's say that the first task would be create empty test project. So that would be the first task. Yeah, it has the naming automatically. I think that comes from Java Scrum. Then let's say that we can initialize Git repository. Let's say local Git repository. Create remote Git repository. Yeah, maybe okay, that's fine. And so once we do the Git setup, we can say create the first task. Maybe define create the class. Let's say create the class which prints. Let's say hello, this is the project. Let's say let's say intro class. Create intro class which prints hello, this is the project. Yeah, so then we can maybe let's create 2 more items. So in the class, into class create the method which okay, let me which maybe let's make something simple, which let's say concatenates it's 2 strings provided by user. Yeah, content is not so important. Maybe just 1 more. Let's say this would be that so also into class create the method which calculates the sum of 2 big integers divided by user, something like that. Just some tasks here. So the tasks are done, and I can create the sprint. Can create first sprint, and here I can pass the items. So I move them here. I move the items for the first sprint. Yeah, so let's maybe keep these 2 items to the second sprint, and we can start the sprint. So we can name it. Let's create small duration. Okay, unfortunately, there's 1 week only, but we can maybe let's define the time that it will finish today, for example. Oh, yeah, of course. Okay, let's say that the sprint will be finished in let's say that it's selected for some reason. Oh, okay, no, I can select it. Let's say that it's 8:30. Define a goal. So maybe we can say the goal is to initialize the project setup. To set up the testing, set up the project. Let's say. Right. So this is done, and now we have the board for the first sprint, where we can actually start the process. So I will start with the first item. So I'm developer. I assign it to myself, and I put it in progress, and I can start working on it. Yeah, I can put the description. Let's say that create project in Eclipse. Yeah, and so I will create it. Let's maybe go to Eclipse. Okay, we can open it. And create the project. So now the project is here, and let's define the Eclipse is here. Let's define the project. project. Jira demo project. So we simply do all the setup here, and it should be here. Okay, so the project is here. I created the project, so I can say that the task is done. So I can. Usually it's done by reporter, but so since, let's say, I'm the reporter of this ticket, so usually the ticket is created by tickets are created by those who provide the requirements, so they also are the reporters. So let's say that when we go to testing, we normally provide the tickets to the reporter. Then the testing is done. So after testing is done, I can say that testing is done. The project is created. So the comment is written, and I can confirm that this ticket is done. So then let's move to the initialization of Git repository. So I will go to the folder and initialize the repository. So that's this one. So I go to Git bash and I initialize Git repository. It is done, and I can now add it to Eclipse. That should be here. It is here. So it's here. Then I added it. So this step is done as well. I can say that task. Actually, I had to put it assigned to me. Then audit my progress. Then I can. So me as the developer. So I can say. The repository is initialized. Please check. And then I assign it to the tester, but the tester, I am the tester. That's why I can assign it to myself, actually. And yeah, so once it is done, I can now I can move it to the testing. So now I answer the tester. I say that I see that the repository is initialized, everything is fine. It's fine, so I say it's fine. And again I put it to time. Now the task is done. Now the next one is to create a mod repository. So again I put it in progress. I assign it to myself. Yeah, you can change the priority. It can be, usually it's high. There's also medium priority. That's medium priority, and high, medium, low, or lowest priority, and highest for some crucial things to be done. So you can also put due date. Let's say the due date is today. You can change it, let's say, to highest. So then you find that the priority for this ticket is highest. So yeah, now we can create the repository. Maybe what's now you can actually create the repository in Bitbucket. We can do it. Yeah, so let's do it. So let's go to Bitbucket and I will create the repository. So I will use the same workspace as before, the same project, and I will name the repository, say Java-13, Jira demo. Yeah, so the same way as we did before, just create the repository. Nothing special here. So then I basically do all the same steps as I did before. So I can link this repository to my local repository. So I can go from here. And yeah, so this is this one, and go to go deeper, go to reference, go to remotes, and now I can create this remote, and yeah, I provide URL, so it's here, and I save it. So now I have this remote repository. I can, no, maybe let's not push the, yeah, we'll not put, let's say, no, let's just push and show the changes at first. Show changes, and then they will be moved to the repository. So at this point everything is the same, but what we can do, we can actually connect this this repository to our Jira project. So we can go to the project settings. I guess that was under the apps, or not. So let's maybe quickly check. Oh no, I think yeah, this was Jira issues. Yeah, so I can connect to Jira and go to Jira issues. Then yeah, I can connect to Jira Cloud. So and yeah, actually here I have the site to my Jira, let's say Jira account. So it's Java-OS, and it's this one. So I can connect it. Yeah, I'm going to connect. Yeah, again, go to your repository, go to Jira issues, and here you can go to settings. This will navigate you to the settings, and here you can select your URL to your Jira account, and then you can grant the access. And the access, and now we can link it. And now it is connected. Okay, it's refreshing, so let's then and yeah, okay, hope now it should be fine. Yeah, so this is fine. Well, okay. So, and now you actually connected the Bitbucket repository to your Jira project. How you can actually do how you can actually use it? You can actually use it in a quite simple way. So firstly, this task is done. Yeah, we created a remote repository, so we can test it. Write a comment. Repository created. I can save it, and I can put it to done. So this is done. The last step here is what I want to show you. This is related to the branches. Yeah, so let's move it in progress. I can assign it to myself. And yeah. So now what we can do, let's say, so we have this task, right? We know that we have this task. It has the unique ID. So for each task, you will have the unique ID. You can identify the task. So for this task, it is GS4. So how you can actually use it? So if you go to your repository, you can go to the team and create new branch. So go to switch to, and you create new branch. And you can actually write the name of the ticket here. So that will be GS4. So it's GS4. I press finish. So now I'm under GS4 branch. So at this point you will not see anything here because this is just created locally. It is not pushed to the remote repository. So I have to create intro class which should print hello. This is the project, okay? So I create class, intro class. Okay, let's also create a package. Main package and create intro class here. Main method. So I create it here and I can print simply okay, for some reasons I have the issues with the formatting. Okay, that's fine. So I have this class created and the method. So I can comment and I say class intro created. Something like this. So then I can commit and push changes. Press finish. Yeah, and if I go here, now I refresh it, I go to the tickets. And yeah, so here you can see now we have this one branch here. You can go to this one and actually see this branch, see the commits. Then you can actually see the full list of the commits. You can see the full actually it can have that's not only about the branches. So if we talk about the branches, then you will have this separate branch here, so you can navigate to them, turn to Bitbucket and see this branch. So it is tracked here. Let's link to this ticket. You can see also, maybe let's maybe try the following way. We can go to the master branch and then merge the changes from this branch we just created. So that will be switch to, switch to, but merge. Okay. So then we merge with this one. So now we're in the master branch and we just merged two branches together, and at this point we won't have the commit because we just merged two commits. But yeah, if I add some new changes, so that here's the comment, some changes here, then you can So now I'm under the master branch, so I'm not under the GS4 branch. So let's maybe type GS4 in the commit. Let's commit and push. And so now let's go to the ticket, refresh. Let's go now here. Let's go here and so you can. Yeah, and now you can see that the commit is also here. Yeah, basically, so if you you can create branch from here as well, but yeah, better just can simply do it from your local Git repository. And so we'll use branches and commits here. So once again, the idea is that it's quite simple when you just type this GS4. It's not mandatory that you type GS, you type it exactly like this. You can type it like, you can add some more text, and it will still be considered as part of this ticket. But yeah, actually I can confirm that this is done. So I can move it to testing, and then I can also move it to done. Okay, so at this point we completed all the items, we tested them, so we can complete the sprint. Okay, so now the first sprint is done, and then we can move to the second sprint. So at the beginning of the sprint we actually can define new issues. So we can define that say changes in intro class. Can also move it here. Then we can do some changes under the sprint, or under this ticket. So maybe let's add child issues. So we have 2 child issues. Maybe let's add them both here. Oh no, let's choose existing one. So okay, and then let's start the sprint, and then actually do the setup here. So that's fine. So I can also create the child issues, define the child issues. So why I don't why I can't, oh sorry, oh okay, just files here. Oh no, sorry, that's okay, for some reasons okay, and that's let's navigate and delete it. Delete this issue. This was accidentally created. But yeah, let's link this issue. Yeah, we can say this blocked by say GS5. And so we can add some walkers. This one, okay, I'm not sure why it is here. Okay, let's maybe keep it right here. So we can say that this issue has some walkers. So we say that it's blocked by GS5 issue and say GS6 as well. So we can do the linkages. And then we can actually start working on this. Okay, so again, the usual practice would be that I just take one of the issues, so I move it to in progress and I start working on it. So I have this linked issues, and so I can type a comment, started working on it. So I type a comment. Now I can work. So I have to create a method which concatenates two strings provided. So let's create this method. So static. Let's say void strings. So string 1 and string 2. And here we can print the concatenation of just simply two strings. So let's get something is done here. So I can call this method. Not even more. I really don't need to call it. So maybe I can better just check out to a new branch. So go to new branch and I name it as GS5. So I can name it GS5 branch. And now I can deploy the changes. So you can say that the method is created. I commit and push the changes. So and now it will be in the remote repository, and you will also see it here. And so again, we should see this branch here. So basically, you can do the whole ticket under one branch, and then you can easily track what was done. So in this case, you can actually see the advantages. The advantage is that it helps to do the documentation here, because you actually have all the tracking of all the changes done. So you can just simply done. You can just simply track all the changes done under the particular ticket. So once this is done, I can move to another ticket. So I can also drag and drop here. So then I have it here, and then I can start working, and I can assign it to myself. And then I can move to another branch. So again, it's better to merge the branches before you. So it's better to switch to master branch than merge existing branches here. So that would be the branch GS5. So merge and then push the changes, and they will be here in the remote repository. Okay. So this is done, and now we can switch to the last one. So that's not merge, but I'll create new branch here for the new ticket. So that would be GS6, and so here the task is to calculate the sum of two big integers. created. So soon we'll have one big integer. And another big integer. Yeah, for some reasons, yeah, I have a problem with control space working, so maybe let's maybe quickly find the class. Yeah, so that comes from Java mask. Import, of course. Okay. Okay. And okay, our control space is not working for some reasons. Let's just assume two integers. At this point I have a problem with the control space. I will solve it a little bit later, but right now let's just assume two integers. So yeah, and now again we can deploy the changes. Integers is created. So again I commit and push, and now it should be here. Let's refresh. So it should be here. Let's see the update. And return branch. And so now this is done here, and now this is also done. So again, all tickets are done, and we can complete the sprint. So the task for you is, so I'll create. I will define, let's say 5 tickets. So one ticket for each of you. There will be just simple, some simple tasks. So you can just take one of them, and yeah, so you should take the task, and then create your own branch for this task and implement it, and then push it to this remote repository. So I'll give you the access to it, so you can just simply create the methods. You can just simply complete the tasks, and then put them to the testing status. And once it is done, I will check if everything is fine, and I will just put it to done status. Okay, so again, I will write the list of the requirements in Discord, so then you can just simply follow the steps there. So do you have any questions? So I will provide a list of tasks, and then you can do it. Okay, so if not, then we can close the meeting session, and I will then create the tasks for you, and I will assign you to project, and then you can move. I will invite you to the project, and then you can simply just take one. Yeah, so you should take only one ticket and then complete that. Okay, so if this is done, if no questions, so then I will pause the meeting, and then I will prepare the environment for you, so you can touch it by yourself as well. Okay, so and on Friday there will be the knowledge check, so I will send the tasks, and then you can work on them and send me the answers. Okay, so for the session that's it. Now I will then prepare the tasks for you, and then meet you on Friday. Bye.